is Jancy Long. I am the Director of Provider Supports here at the Coalition. So thank you for those of you who are able to join us. Good to see you. As I mentioned, we are recording this. So if for those who are unable to attend, or if you have to, if someone's joining late or leaving early, we'll get all that information out to you. So I see that DJ's on, and she just is able to provide us with a quick update on the budget. So I'm going to turn it over to DJ to share some good info.
I've got to figure out how to take myself off mute, which is typically the hardest part for me. Okay, so I wanted to start with, we are in the middle of budget cycle right now. Everybody knows that the state has not yet had an approved budget, probably we know. Oh, I've got a lot of feedback. So right now, sorry. I struggle with all the extra noise. Okay, here we go. So I just want to give you a quick update. We have had just now the second Senate offer. So we have back and forth offers between the House and the Senate right now. So the Senate gave their first offer, the House gave their first offer. Now the Senate has come back with their second offer. Initially, we were about 60 million apart. And that Senate was $60 million below what we have today. The House was $120 million below what we have today statewide. And that was, I think we sent out something either late last week, maybe early this week, to ask you to consider connecting with your representatives to advocate for, hey, take a look at this. This is going to hurt children in our community if you approve the budget as is. And so we have seen some movement at this point. The Senate has offered increasing the pot of money from a $60 million deficit. They've added another 16 million to that. So the pot would move up to 952 million, which is a little bit more. We have just over $1 billion in that pot of money right now. And then there's some categorical funds that they have modified. So we're making a little bit of progress on the Senate side. The House side, we made a little bit of progress. That same 16 million, they increased it. So instead of being $120 million short, we're $104 million short. Still not good for us. We definitely want the House to move to the Senate's position. That's really what we're looking for. So there's going to be another meeting at 1:30 today for the House, for them to offer their second position. And then if the subcommittees cannot come to agreement, what will happen is all of those subcommittees will bump up to the chairs. So after two, then it will become like the all education it will move up to just the education chairs. And then it'll be taken out of the pre-K-12 subcommittees hands to make the decision. So we really would like to get the decision made at that subcommittee level because they have a better understanding of the nuances of our work instead of just the chairs making that decision. So that's what we're working on right now. We are making progress. We appreciate any communication you have with your legislators to help them understand the impact of loss of funding at the local level, what that means to the children and families that you're serving every day and that we're helping to serve. With that, I'll try to answer questions if you have any. Otherwise, I will be on the meeting at 1:30 to see what we find out. I know it's a lot in a short period of time.
It's a lot of information, absolutely. So if you want to raise your hand or just unmute, or if you want to put any questions in the chat, we'll do our best to get an answer or at least make a list of questions that hopefully DJ can get answers to.
So at this point, is it affecting people getting funding, or it's like, you've slowed down on funding for people, or are we going to be looking, if everything doesn't go through, are we going to be looking at losing people losing their funding?
Yeah, so there's a combination of things that are happening. You've already seen us here in Flagler Volusia have to slow down our enrollment. So we had to start that last October. So you've seen our wait list here grow. That would continue, and it 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 could be a possibility, and it would just really depend on how the funding is allocated across across the state, whether or not we would have to actively disenroll children. It is the last thing in the world the legislators and the state administration, and even here locally, we would ever want to do would be to disenroll children. That would be the last thing we want to do. What we would most likely do is for the first quarter of the year, so for July, August, and September, we would not enroll anyone. That would be the first step we would take. Then we would look at how are we doing? What kind of changes has that made in our projections of funding, and then go from there. And so it just depends. If we end up where the House sits, the House funding model, uh, we would lose here in Flag Revolution, we'd lose upwards of about 13% of our funding. Some coalitions lose over 30% of their funding. So for them, they would most likely have to actively disenroll children. For us, it'd be questionable. We're not sure. If we end up at the Senate's position, most likely we will not disenroll children, and we will most likely just have to really tighten our belt, look at the materials we provide for quality, look at the materials we provide for outreach, and look at the material and then look at slowing down our enrollment. So we have a JM that has her question raised. You want to?
Yes, please. Julie Maroff. So if somebody was to switch places, I have a mom that might have to switch because she'll still be within the area, but her hours will change drastically. Would she lose funding by switching schools? Is that a risk?
Yeah, no. If
Okay.
you're transferring from one location to another, you would not.
Okay.
You already have your voucher, you're already enrolled.
Okay.
You're just transferring from one location to another. That doesn't impact that you wouldn't be impacted.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Other questions?
They are on their way at the moment, so they should be here in about like 15 minutes.
One good thing I will tell
Yeah,
you
love
is, anything else, Slava? You have a question?
Sorry, I think I might have my speaker on, but I turned it off.
Oh, okay. One thing that is exciting that we have been working for 3 years to get modified is that our eligibility threshold is set historically focused on the federal poverty level. And it's set at 150 of the federal poverty, 150% of the federal poverty. And that is a concern because a two-parent household oftentimes doesn't qualify because of the dynamic economic nature of our states. That being said, because our minimum wage keeps increasing by state statute, but but nationally, the minimum wage doesn't go up as drastically as our state minimum wage goes up. And so we've been working from a legislative standpoint to shift our eligibility threshold from the federal poverty level to the state median income so that it's tied to what happens in Florida. And we finally got that done this year, and we're very excited about it. That shift happens in October when our minimum wage moves up. So we'll move to align with minimum wage. So eligibility thresholds will essentially match minimum wage. So if you're making minimum wage as a family of 3 or a family of 4, you would still be able to qualify for our services, which I think is really the intent that remember our fund, School Readiness, is funded by the federal government down to the state. That's what their intention is. And so we're excited that Florida has finally made that move. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, with that, I think it's Jancy taking it.
It looks
Wait,
like Dan.
Deanna has a question real quick, I think.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that just made me
wonder, you're saying if you had two parents in the household or one, and they're both making minimum wage, they would qualify?
They should now, it's starting October 1, they should be able to qualify. If they're making minimum wage, they should be able to qualify for services. Where in the past year or two, they have not been able to qualify. They've made too much money.
So how do people not make minimum wage yet they're working full-time or working enough hours to receive childcare services? That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, there's a variety of ways. If they're considered gig workers or they're just starting their own business and they're not quite like, you know, if you start your own business, you probably see it owning business yourself. There are days when you work awfully hard and you work an awful lot of hours, but you're not making a whole lot of money. And so there are lots of ways that that can happen.
Very interesting. I wouldn't have realized that. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Kim, you also have a question?
Yes, my question, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
It
can hear
has
you.
to do with who gets the funding. Is it the child or the parent? Because in the situations, I've had to go to court twice in the last couple weeks. Mom gets the funding. Dad doesn't because he's not in the household. So I'm just going to use like rounded off numbers. So say this child's fee is $200 a week and you pay $150 a week. Therefore, mom on her week only wants to pay me $50. But because dad still pays the $200 on his week, she's using his extra $50 to be her $50.
Mm.
I don't know. And the courts are like taking me over the coals. Whose money is it? Like, is the funding, if the funding is for the child,
Mm-hmm.
but the mom is the one that's basically qualified for it, does that mean she only has to pay, say, $5 on her week? Dad has to pay his full rate. So therefore, those weeks in between, if we have a rate difference, he's paying that rate difference even for her. So I keep getting called into court on this and I don't know the answer.
How many times have you gotten called into court over that?
Twice the last 3 weeks.
So I'm going to have to think about it because there are situations where the child gets the money, like a child is determined eligible.
Correct.
That's rare though. Oftentimes it's the parent that is determined eligible. So when the parents don't live together, it's an interesting comment. It surprises me that a court would not make that decision. Why are they making you make that decision?
Well, in the summer, it's even worse because it's 1 week on, 1 week off.
But
so does the child only qualify the week that the mom that's qualified has it? And no, you guys give it to me for the whole summer.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is the monies, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I love how you always find those weird things. It always happens to you. I swear.
I'm sorry.
No, it's things that it's like you always make me think. And
We
so
just have the
now,
referral program to Kim.
No,
I know, really.
No, just like don't send me people that don't know how to do their stuff. They're like, call Kim, she'll know. Okay, then pay me to do it because I keep going to schools to help them.
But I'm going to look into it because I don't know the answer to that because like I have lots of questions now. So I'm gonna have to call you offline. I'm gonna have to talk about those two parents. I'm gonna have to find out more questions because I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, it gets worse. One's 50-50, one's 70-30.
Yeah.
So do I only take the child's arm?
Children, shared custody. Okay. So I'm gonna have to call you and then we're gonna have to find out the answer. Once we find out the answer, we'll tell everybody that it's probably gonna depend. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get the courts to make some of those decisions instead of having childcare providers make that decision. But let's get more information and then we'll try to get more answers to all of you. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure if Kim's having the problem, other people are having the problem. But I just don't know enough about it to be able to give you an answer. Okay. So I'll call you, Kim. It probably won't be, Kim, it probably won't be till Tuesday. Okay? Because between now and Tuesday, but Tuesday I'll call you.
All right.
Okay. All right. We're back to Deanna. Deanna, do you have a question
I'm
again?
done. I'm done.
You're good compared to that. All right. Anybody else have a question for me that's legislative in nature? Okay. It's back to you, Chancy.
All right. Thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. So yeah, that's a really good question. I'm very curious to know the answer myself. So I can't wait to hear what's worked out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen just so we have some reference points, mostly to remind me what the talking points are. So hopefully you all can see my screen at SR 2526 updates. All right, excellent. So there are a couple of rule changes that take effect July 1st, specifically that is going to affect reimbursement. And we just wanted to take a little bit of time to go over it and to also give you all a chance to ask any questions that you may have. We'll do our best to answer them. We're still getting some information and more guidance from DEL that we will share when we get it. So to start with the required parent copayment, I'm going to let Kim talk about that since it's mostly affecting families.
Yes, thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim Canny. I'm the Director of Family Services. This first slide is really just for informational purposes only, at least this first bullet point. This piece will be determined by eligibility staff. So this is not going to be a requirement of you as a provider to determine the parent's copay. Again, just for informational purposes. So parent copayments will not exceed 7% of the family's gross annual income. Okay. Copayments used to be the responsibility of individual coalitions. So we would set them at a dollar amount. This has been removed, and all coalitions will now be implementing DEL's sliding fee scale.
Damn crap on here. Just call Nadia. What was it?
So I know some people have said that they are not able to see the screen. So it's a kind of, some people can, some people can't.
I can't even get the sound on this stupid meeting. So
I'm not sure.
I think it may depend if you're on a phone or computer. Heather put the suggestion, try changing the view up at the top of your screen. That should make a difference. So everything that is on the slides, we're going to cover verbally, and then we'll send it out after with additional notes. So that again, want to make sure everybody has the information.
Okay. Yeah, I just use the slides as kind of just a visual. So I'm a talker, so I'll talk on the side. So kind of back to where I was, co-payments, they used to be the responsibility of coalitions. So we would set a dollar amount. This again has been removed, and coalitions will implement DEL's sliding fee scale, which is based on a percentage. So again, not to exceed 7%. It could be 5%, again, depending on the parent's income and family size. So this is not the responsibility of providers. This will be the responsibility of eligibility specialists. Again, just being shared with you, just so you have just that information. So families who renew, so when will this change? So families who renew on or after July 1st, okay? So any parent renewing on or after July 1st will have this new copay setup. In addition to those families who are renewing, there may be or upon update. So families who renew on or after July 1st or upon update where the income being reported could or would result in a change in the parent copay. They will be assessed this new copayment with this new threshold. Okay. So if you have families that aren't due to renew until May of next year, they're going to keep the same fee that they have now unless something in their family changes, they change jobs, they were in school and now they're working and they update that information with us. If it's in benefit of the parent, their fee will change. Otherwise, it'll stay the same until they renew. Okay. If you'll go to that second slide, please. Okay, so copayment collection. So the copay will be assigned to one child. Locally, we are going to be assigning to the youngest child in the household. However, there may be times where it will not be assigned to the youngest. And that's going to be, for example, if a parent adds a baby or another child into care. So anything in the midst of the authorization period, we will not reassign or reassess those fees. So let's say mom has a 2-year-old and that's the youngest child. We'll assess the fee to the 2-year-old. Then mom has a baby and we add the baby on. We're not going to reassess that copay. We're just going to add that baby in. Okay. Upon renewal, it'll go to that baby. This will be helpful to you all, so you're not having to adjust those changes. Providers, so the fee is going to be assessed to the youngest child, unless these, one-off cases. Providers will receive full reimbursement for any additional child in the household. So providers will receive full reimbursement for siblings based on the authorized hours of care and level of care. So full-time, part-time, if a child's school age, so on and so forth, just as it is now, like reimbursement wise. If a child is enrolled at 2 providers, which luckily that's fairly rare, but we do have it on occasion. So if a child's enrolled at 2 providers, only one provider will collect the copay. And this will be indicated on that payment certificate. So again, locally, we'll be assigning the copay to the provider where the child attends majority of their time. So you will continue to accept enrollments as is. You'll review your parental payment certificate to see the schedule, copay, and authorization dates. One thing I want to just suggest are regarding transfers. So if a child is transferring, we request a 0 balance. Okay, we tell the parents, we need your 0 balance receipt. Coalitions are required to obtain a 0 balance receipt for the parent copay. So if a child does not have a copay assigned to them and they request a transfer, I just want to urge those collections of those differentials on a regular and consistent basis, because while we'll ask for a 0 balance and have the parent contact you to discuss those, any unpaid fees, if there's not a copay assigned to that child, we can technically transfer them. So I just want to encourage you to have that in place. I just don't want you to be in a position where there's differentials owed and we can't hold that transfer. And that was a little extra on there, but that's, yeah, Deanna. I was going to say, if anybody has questions or Jancy, I don't know if you want to take them later, whatever you want to.
No, let's go ahead and do
Okay.
questions now.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't think you could hold a transfer on a differential. I only thought it was on the copay itself.
Correct. That's why I'm saying I'm just encouraging. So if a child doesn't have a copay, but their differential hasn't been paid and they have $400 that's owed to you, technically we can transfer that child. So we do tell the parents, hey, we need that 0 balance. It's just kind of a knock, hint, hint. Make sure you're getting those balances paid, because we can technically transfer that child without that, because they don't have a copay. Yeah.
Okay, that's
but
the
you are
question.
correct.
Sorry. And the other
No, don't
question,
be
you
sorry.
said not to exceed 7% of the family income. What was it before? I don't even know how it was based before.
It was based I don't even know, like it was locally set. So we looked at local information and assigned a dollar amount. Now it's a percentage.
So do you
So
think
again, it looks,
are going to increase, decrease, or stay about the same, or we don't even know?
I would say, well, there's this lovely packet that our data team has put together that's sitting in front of me for review. And I will say, don't hold it to every scenario, but for the most part, it's going to benefit the families.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The
There's a question.
certificates, all of those, the certificates will look the same again. It's just going to be there will be one child with a copay. The other children will have a zero copay. That's all done in the system, again, done on eligibility's end. If you see no copays, it's not wrong. Maybe the youngest child's elsewhere. Yeah, Carly? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Carly, did you have a question? If so, I can't hear you. I'll come back to you, Carly. Kim?
Yes, my question is in regards to the actual certificate they get stating the amount you pay. Is there any way to stop adding in the gold seal, all the different rates? Because you're going to say zero, and then the parent's going to say, well, then this is what you're paying, but it's not, and I don't even know what to do anymore.
The gold seal issue, we have talked to DEL on numerous occasions. I'm happy to send you the contact that I have shared with other providers that have had the same, and to email the importance of and what this creates between the parent and provider relationship. DJ's discussed it. I've discussed it. Other coalitions have discussed it. And again, I've had a couple local providers that have also reached out to this contact, and I'm happy to share. I wish we had the capability of altering a few things on there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
all of it on there isn't basically the truth necessarily.
Yeah.
How many sick days is it now? 5, 3, or 10 a month?
I think that's coming.
The sick days, the absences has not changed.
Which is 3, 5, or 10. 3 without documentation, and then upwards to 10 if it's documented. I don't know where this number 5 number came in, except I have children from the Lake County Coalition too, and their numbers are different. Trying to deal with 2 county coalitions is totally making my mind confused.
Yeah, it is tough, but no, it's three absences without documentation.
Okay.
And then additional 10 with.
Oh, an additional 10 or an additional 7 up to 10?
Additional 10, isn't it?
Yes, it's an additional 10. There is a possibility of a maximum of 13, including those excused absence days.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Julie, you got your hand up if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, I'm sorry. So I'm just trying to understand the copayment, and I'm going to try to word this as best as possible because I'm a little confused myself. So we're on the youngest child, we're going to see that copayment. So we're calculating whether we're giving them their fee contracts the same way we always do, factoring in the parent fee differential and all that. But with the second child, we're calculating it based on the full rate that's on the scale that you give us. So like for a 4-year-old, it's going to be the full, 30 or whatever. So we're just charging them the differential at that point.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So then are you going to discuss like how you want that shown on the receipts then? Because I know like you guys are picky about how you're seeing these receipts when we're giving them out.
All we need to see on the receipt is if the parents paid their tuition, their parent copay. We have to find that there's a zero balance. We do our best to try to work with you all to get the parent to pay the entire balance if it's owed, but we can only hold them to a copay. So unfortunately, sometimes we get zero balance, or we get receipts that in the amount of $700, sometimes in the upwards of $1,200 owed to a program. And so what we have to do is ask if what is a differential and what is the parent copay? Because again, we can technically only hold
so
that
when you
parent.
guys are auditing us, so you know how like you used to ask for a sample receipt to see if we were charging parent fee and differential, whatever, when we're uploading like for an audit or something like that. If it's for the second child, so with me just putting up a receipt that it was just a differential, do you get what I'm saying? Like for auditing purposes.
Is that something you all audit in compliance?
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
they do 5-year
Okay.
record and stuff.
It's you would just put that the second child did not have that requirement.
Okay.
A parent copay. Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure.
I mean, you're
understood
fine.
what
I
you're-
just want to like try to make sure that I put it all right in my
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Carly was having some tech issues, but her question was, will the rate change on their birthday if it's after July 1st?
Their reimbursement rate would change, but not their copay if they are assigned a copay.
Let's see. Julie and Deanna have hands up. I think we answered Julie's. Deanna?
Yeah, I just want to know, is it still continuing that we're going to be paid based on the rates where the county we're located in if we contract with more, excuse me, with other coalitions? Like I have people from other counties that I con with Lake County. So it used to be I got reimbursed on their rate. Now I've been being reimbursed on Flagler Volusia rate. Is that continuing to be the case?
Yes.
Okay, super. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions about parent?
Only thing I don't know if I'm breaking up.
Go ahead.
I didn't know if I was breaking up or not. I didn't know if Dina, I'm sorry. Were you saying something? Kind of got cracky. I didn't know if you were done.
Oh, I'm done. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're still paid for the county we're located in, because it didn't used to be that way till like a year ago. So I didn't know that. I just want to make sure that didn't change.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing changing here is just the co-payment piece being assigned to the one child versus multiple children, which I think you all will, I think, I don't want to jinx anything, but I think you'll like it. I think the parents will too. Does anybody else have a question? And I'll put my email in the chat if anything pops up or you think of anything later, feel free to reach out to me directly.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So we'll move on. There's also rule changes to the child attendance and provider reimbursement rates. And so I'm just going to go over a couple things and highlight the changes. So one addition to the rule was there's no payments after the child's last date of attendance. So there's no payment before the kid attends for the first time, and there's no payment after the child's last date of attendance. So if a child stops attending, if you claim any absences after their date of last attendance and then they transfer or their enrollment is terminated, we will recoup those funds because we cannot pay after the last date of attendance. We kind of jumped ahead a little bit. The payment is based on the established rate where the provider is physically located, the child care level, and the unit of care. And the payment is based on the child's authorized schedule. So if the child is approved for part-time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and full-time Tuesday, Thursday, the payment will follow that approved schedule. So some other substantial changes. Deanna, you have a question?
Yeah, I thought when you said they can't be paid past their last day of attendance, I thought that's the way it already was. Are people getting paid past the last day of attendance? They were?
So I think some things were sneaking past. The language was officially added to rule that it is not allowable.
Okay, I never thought it was. So I haven't gotten paid for anything past their last day they came in. So I'm like, oh,
I
how did
have
that?
I have a question. This is Linda with Trinity Academy. You said the last day of attendance. Are you talking about for the month or for the program? Let's
For
say
the
that, let's say, what is this? What month are we in? May, June.
June.
Okay, so let's say the kid gets sick at the end of the month. So his last day of attendance was that Monday, and he was out the rest of the week because they sick. We still get those 3 days that you guys were giving us if they were sick, or are you saying that if there's out and they transfer or they leave, is that what you're talking about? We're not going to pay. You're not going to pay for those 3 days.
Yes, I'm talking about if the child, let's say, let me just look at the calendar real quick. So if the child was out May 28, 29, and 30, and that child did not come back June 2nd, that child's enrollment was terminated June 2nd, you will not get paid for those last 3 days in May, because that kid, the last date that that child attended would have been May 27th. Now, if the child missed 28, 29, and 30 of May and came back the 2nd, that child has attended. So those days are reimbursable.
So we're losing money. That's what it sounds like.
Well, if you try to claim an excused absence after the child no longer attends your program.
Well, if we know they're not attending, but we may not know that they're not attending, they just may be out sick. We may not find out until June that they have no intentions of coming back. You see what I'm saying?
I absolutely do. Absolutely. But if they don't come back, then we either will not reimburse those days or we'll have to recoup those days paid.
Wow.
And the idea being is to keep the enrollment matching where the child actually is. If the child's no longer enrolled and if the child's no longer attending and that family doesn't need school readiness services, we'd like to terminate that enrollment and offer those services to a family that really does need them, so we can get some families off the wait list.
I understand that,
Yeah.
and I'm in agreement with that, but I'm just saying, like, if they pull some switcheroo or something, I don't know.
I understand for sure. So it's, I think it's encouraging. I encourage you to keep good communication with your families. I know situations are going to come up, but we just want to collectively, with family services, try to stay on top of keeping all the information current. Okay. So Kim, you have a question?
I was just going to comment because sometimes say they've been out 3 days, they come back and it happens to be, a disagreement with you whether they're well enough, and you say no, they still have, hand, foot, mouth, they can't come back. Please bring me a doctor's note. You have up to 10 days, and they're like, I'm going somewhere else, and don't come back. Now you're out the 3 days. You followed the total law, but they, want to pull them. That's where those of us that are in childcare do get caught sometimes. Because
that's what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I mean, I understand it because in my situation, that's exactly what happens. Parents aren't going to agree if if the child's really sick, and you can pull out the DCF handbook and show them where if the child still has sores, so you can't come back. I mean, so basically it's almost like expecting us to say, okay, he can stay today for an hour, call him, he's still sick, come get him. And now you've clocked him back in, so you get paid. Then they get mad at you and take him out. You've at least made those 3 days. Sounds ridiculous. Telling you it's going to happen. Just that's the problem. we're trying to be honest on our side. And I understand you're saying, oh, but we can give it to another child. I'm glad you can, but those 3 days are already gone. That money was already allocated. If it was a private pay child, they would still have to pay. You know, as it is, we wait 15, 20 days for reimbursement from you. If a parent hasn't paid me the next week, they don't get to come to school. Well, you guys get to not pay me for 15, 20 days. At the end of that time, I might find out you didn't pay me for those 3 days. How am I going to recoup that? You can't. The bottom line is there's already a different, it's only fiscal, which is what I tell parents regarding VPK, early learning, anything. Has nothing to do with the child's attendance, our ability to work with a parent or whatever. But fiscally, that parent doesn't end up being the responsible party. You do. I can hold parents accountable. I can't hold the Early Learning Coalition accountable. And yet you guys turn it around on us, and we, as the child care provider, end up being the ones that are shorted, are the bad guys, have to deal with this. And I can understand where Lynn's coming from, where it's really not fair.
Amen.
Right. No, and
Amen.
I respect absolutely everything that you're saying. I know it's a tough business to be in, for sure. We are just doing our best. We try to support you as best we can. We reach out for clarification and asking for additional documentation, for children when there are absences. This is a rule change that has gone through. We have to follow it. For auditing purposes, as we audit you, we are audited by DEL. And so we're all doing our best. I do think there will be, down the line, I think there's some federal changes that will affect the way Florida operates. That's not going to be for another year or two. But for right now, this is the rules that we are all tasked with following.
I was just clarifying. I understood where Lynn was coming from, because it puts us in these conundrums where you showed up today, you signed in. Is that good enough? You were here when I go out there and tell you no, just tell you to sign right back out. Do I count you as attendance? It sounds lousy that I would, but you were here. You took my time to argue with you or whatever. My point is these are the kind of things that we get caught in between.
Right. Okay, so I don't see any other hands up. I'm just looking through chat. You get clarification on
Nancy, is there anything that says that can we charge them 2 weeks in advance and then something like that couldn't happen? They have to pay their fees 2 weeks ahead of time?
If that is what your parent handbook states and that family agrees to it, I'm not aware of anything in statute or rule that would stop that. I'm going to ask Jennifer.
I don't know of any barriers in statute or rule. It would just be dependent on the program policies.
Okay, and then another question. I ask my parents because we have a hard time of them providing notes when they're sick. So I send them an email. Hey, you have these absences. But I was told by my lady yesterday that it's kind of fishy if we ask for notes. So I'm kind of confused on the parents don't provide it to us. We won't get paid if they don't have a note past the 3 days. And then she say I can forward you the email that you can look at it.
Okay.
I was confused on
Please do. I've not heard that before. I know that the supporting documentation is needed, and I think we do. If we notice that it's not there, we'll ask for it and follow up. So that I've not heard that before.
Okay.
Clarification on the excused absences. It's 3 unexcused absences, and it's an additional 10 days with the documentation. Parent copay information. Oh, that's Kim's response. Sorry. Some of these were answered. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions or hands, so I'm going to move on to another change that has taken place within the rule for child attendance and reimbursement. There is an additional holiday that was added. So it is now up to 13 ELC approved holidays if one of those days is a staff training day. So you cannot, if you claim your 13th holiday or your professional training day is going to be December 26th, then you will need to provide training on December 26th. It is 12 holidays and one professional development or training day. So that is a new addition. If so just to kind of touch base a little bit to the school age child holiday reimbursement, they did add some language in rule to clarify that it depends on the hours and days of authorized care for the holidays on that child's certificate. So especially for teacher in-service days and summers, that's the payment is going to be based on what is authorized. So just to talk a little bit more about the training day, because that is a pretty substantial change. The DEL has issued guidance. If you are going to have a staff training day, what the expectation is and what the requirements are. At least the length of the training must be 50% of your approved daily schedule. So if you are open for 10 hours, you would have to have a 5-hour training. If you're open more than 10 hours, then you're still held to a 5-hour training. The expectation is not any more than 5 hours. At least 75% of the school readiness personnel must be in attendance. You will have to make sure that the training meets the criteria. And it is most of the trainings that I think are available through the state, through DEL, through Department of Children and Families, through the approved curriculums, meet these criteria. It aligns with the Florida standards, with the career pathways and the DCF trainings. We do ask if you are going to have professional development days to submit your agenda, your topics, and your timeframes. So we have an idea of what the training will be. And then if you're attending a conference, I know some of you take your staff to conferences. And if you don't have the agenda yet, you can just give us a link to the conference. And then after you attend, make sure you retain those records of the sessions that were attended and any certificates that were earned. And we will ask for that documentation during any monitoring. So you don't have to submit those certificates to us. You just have to hold on to them and have them available when you are monitored. So I think, okay. Our quality impact team, if you need some help identifying training or looking for, where you can go or other resources, they are available to help talk through sort of what your needs might be and help align the needs with some training that is available in different resources or different ways. So you can go, and again, this will all be sent out. You can go on our website, look at the professional development. We do send out a lot of training opportunities in our monthly newsletter. And we will, if you do want to have some consultations with the quality impact with your assigned specialist, just do a quality impact request. Or when they reach out to you for their quarterly contacts, that's a great opportunity to talk through what may be a good fit for you all. And I saw, yeah, Deanna, you had a question?
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I was thinking about, you have to bring somebody in to do this training or whatever, but what you're saying, we could do an online training. We would just have that day that we could come in and all be working on that training. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, as long as it aligns with the Florida standards, part of like the DCF training opportunities. Yes.
Okay.
Julie, you have a question?
Yeah, does this, the need for all the documentation and stuff, does it apply to all staff training days that are listed under our holidays, or just for the one extra one that we're using per
So
the contract rules?
if you are using professional development days, you will need to keep records of the trainings that were that staff completed during those approved holidays that were training days.
For all of them. So let's say
For
I
all
have
of
like
them.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but that still gives me 13 to use because I have a few in there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if you don't want to do any training days, you just want to have 12 straight holidays, you can have the 12. If you want to do a training day, you can have 12 holidays plus the one training day.
And I'm sorry, you said that the training has to be, it can't be given like directly through us. It has to be like from an actual course or something. I just want to make sure I understood that part correctly.
Yeah, so let me see if I can go back real quick to.
I mean, because we're one of those schools that we take ours to conference for 2 days, but for the other days, we typically do like in-house training. So how would that work?
So if the training, if you have an agenda or a summary, and if that training aligns with one of the following, the Florida Early Learning and Developmental Standards, Florida Standards and Key Competencies listed in the Professional Development Standards and Career Pathways, and GCF training. If it aligns with one of those, then it will count.
Okay. Do you have a list of that you can provide to us, what you just said?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I will send it out. It'll probably be next week. Early next week is my goal to get the recording and all the notes sent out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Other questions about the professional development days? Okay. Not seeing any other hands. So one other change that is taking effect July 1st is the quality performance incentive. The state has removed the quality performance incentive for scores of, it was previously if you scored a 4.5 to 4.99, the 4%, that 4% is going away. So the minimum score, class score to get a quality performance incentive is going to be a 5, effective July 1st. And that is all of the information that we wanted to share today. So I know we kind of answered questions along the way. I just want to see if there are any questions about anything that we talked about today that we can try and answer. And I know, thank you to my fabulous coworkers who've been monitoring the chat and answering questions in there. I appreciate you all tremendously.
Are the rates remaining the same for school readiness for the new year?
Yes.
All right. Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Let me look in the chat. Can we get a link to this call? Yes, I will hopefully get the recording uploaded and shared next week. The calculation process of the class score. Yes, for the class assessment, the class score is an average of all the domains in that age tool. So every domain is rated, is averaged out. Have you heard anything about a rate increase for VPK? I have not heard anything. I will pose that question to DJ. She's on the following the legislative session very closely. So I will ask for an update from her if there's any changes to that, but I have not heard anything being talked about. Can I edit the date I listed for training? Absolutely. We know that some of the training days are not planned until spring and that things are going to change between now and then. So if you are going to change the date of your training, you'll just need to update that in your calendar. So it would require an amendment. Oh, and Jennifer already answered that. Is it in all classrooms for the, oh, yep, Michelle beat me to it. Thank you, Michelle. Our resident class coordinator. So 50% of each care level is what is assessed for the school readiness program assessments. And I think I've caught up with the chat. Oh, perfect, DJ. Thank you for jumping in to answer the question. If I do mine all of the training days in 1 week before school starts, that's okay. If you want to, like I said, if you're going to a multi-day conference and it's going to be days in a row, that's fine. If you're doing it as a sort of a pre-service to the school year and doing days in a row, that is fine as well. Danny, got another question?
Yeah, I thought there was one training day. People are talking about multiple training days. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, so the ELC has allowed up to 2 training days for professional development. You could use 2 holidays, 2 of the 12 holidays for professional development days. That is something that the coalition locally has allowed. And now DEL has increased that by a day, so you can do up to 3.
Okay, thank you. Didn't even know that, but
yeah, and that is something that we are in the process of updating our procedures to make that a little bit more clear.
So some people are using their holiday days as in-service days instead and having their staff go to trainings on instead of having a holiday off. Is that what or getting paid at the holiday?
Yes. Other questions?
You said that the documentation, because I already had originally 2 professional development days as part of those 12. So those 2, we usually go to the conference. We send you the conference date, or where does this stuff get uploaded, I guess is my question.
Sure. So if you are using the 13th day, Jennifer or one of our compliance team, if you could put that link in the chat, please, for submitting, and we know that the information can change, but we just ask if you submit the date. If you know the topic of your training or have the agenda already, that'd be great. If you're going to a conference, if you just want to put the website or a flyer to the conference in this form, that is more than sufficient. And we know things may change. So it's just after the conference, after the training, keep copies of the certificate, the agenda, that documentation that you would put in your personnel files to show the training verification, keep record of that. And that's what we're going to need when we come out and monitor. You do not have to submit that to us.
Okay, thank you.
You just have to make sure it's available. Okay. And I see, yes, thank you, Kathy. The 13th holiday, no, cannot be used to clean and disinfect. It is just for training. Okay. Other questions? I know we are right at 2 o'clock, so I understand. We'll stay on a little bit longer, even though we're going over a bit, just to make sure we've answered as many questions as we can. All right, I guess I'm not seeing any hands or in the chat. So thank you all so much for taking the time. Like I said, I will send the recording and the notes out early next week. happy summer, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. So thank you so much.